Imagine for a moment that everything you've ever dreamed of, success, freedom, influence, respect, and abundance, is not waiting for you somewhere in the outside world, but is already residing within the untapped power of your mind. Most people walk through life as if success is a random gift, something that happens to others but never to them. They chase luck, follow trends, and hope that circumstances will align in their favor while their mind remains cluttered, unfocused, and undertrained. But what if I told you that the true battlefield, the place where every victory begins, is not in the market, the office, or the streets? It's inside your own head. This is the truth that separates those who achieve extraordinary results from those who live lives of quiet frustration and unfulfilled potential. Your mind is your most lethal weapon, and it can either enslave you with doubt, fear, and indecision, or it can propel you toward greatness with relentless precision and power. The moment you understand that success starts in your mind, everything changes. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your daily habits, and even the words you speak to yourself shape your reality in ways most people never realize. Every small decision, every fleeting thought, every mental image you dwell on, these are the bricks that build your future. If your mind is conditioned to doubt, procrastinate, and fear failure, you will unconsciously sabotage your own progress. But if your mind is trained to focus, to visualize, to embrace challenge, and to persist against all odds, you create a magnetic force that draws success toward you. Your external reality will begin to shift, not by accident, but because your internal world has become a powerhouse of intention, discipline, and clarity. Most people underestimate the power of mental mastery. They work harder physically, chasing opportunities, hustling endlessly, while neglecting the one arena that actually controls every outcome, their own psyche. The truth is, your mind dictates your actions, and your actions dictate your results. Without mental control, without clarity of thought, without a vision reinforced daily, all external effort becomes scattered, inefficient, and temporary. But the individual who masters their mind, who commands their thoughts, who trains their perception, and who disciplines their emotions, moves through the world with an unshakable advantage. They are the ones who see opportunity where others see obstacles, who remain calm where others panic, and who achieve results that seem impossible to those still enslaved by the chaos of an undisciplined mind. This is not a motivational speech for temporary hype or fleeting inspiration. This is a call to awaken the mental powerhouse that already exists within you, to confront every limiting belief you've ever held, to destroy every excuse that has held you back, and to take full responsibility for the life you are capable of creating. If you commit to what you're about to hear, your mind will begin to operate like a precision instrument, calibrated for success, resilience, and unstoppable action. Every chapter, every insight, every strategy in this journey is designed to challenge you, transform you, and engage you at a level that leaves no room for doubt or hesitation. By the time this journey ends, you will understand the undeniable truth. Success is not an external prize to be won. It is the inevitable outcome of a mind that has been trained, disciplined, and focused with ruthless clarity. Your future, your achievements, your influence, and your legacy begin not in the streets, the boardrooms, or the world outside. They begin in the most powerful place you own, your mind. And once you harness it, nothing will ever be able to stop you. Success truly begins in the mind, and understanding the power of your thoughts is the first step toward transforming your life. Your mind is not just a tool for processing information, it is the foundation upon which every action, every decision, and every outcome is built. Thoughts are not fleeting whispers, they are seeds. The quality of the seeds you plant determines the harvest you reap. If your mind is filled with doubt, fear, and negativity, the life you experience will reflect that. But if you deliberately choose thoughts of courage, focus, and ambition, you begin to lay the groundwork for extraordinary achievement. Every success story you have ever admired starts with an individual who understood this simple but profound principle. They controlled their mind before attempting to control the world around them. Many people underestimate how much their internal dialogue shapes their reality. The thoughts you allow to dominate your mind are more than abstract ideas. They are the invisible architects of your behavior. If you constantly tell yourself that you are not capable, that success is for others but not for you, that negativity becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your brain begins to search for evidence that supports these limiting beliefs, and your actions, consciously or unconsciously, align with that story. Conversely, when you consistently focus on your potential, your intelligence, your resilience, and your ability to overcome challenges, your mind begins to rewire itself. You start noticing opportunities that were always there, but previously invisible. Your actions become aligned with the vision you hold in your mind, and life begins to bend toward the direction of your focused energy. This is not merely motivational rhetoric. It is supported by neuroscience and psychology. Studies show that our brains are highly responsive to the quality of our thoughts. Neural pathways strengthen the more they are used, meaning repetitive thought patterns, whether positive or negative, physically shape the structure of your brain. When you habitually entertain thoughts of doubt, fear, or mediocrity, you strengthen those neural connections, making it easier for negative thinking to dominate your mind. But the opposite is equally true. When you intentionally cultivate thoughts of confidence, resilience, and ambition, you create strong, positive neural pathways. The mind becomes a fertile ground for innovation, creativity, and success. This is why the first chapter in any journey to achievement must be about mastering your thoughts. It is about cultivating a mind that naturally gravitates toward growth and victory. The power of your thoughts also extends to how you perceive challenges. A mind trained to focus on obstacles will always see barriers, limitations, and failures. A mind trained to focus on solutions will see opportunities, learn lessons, and adapt quickly. The difference between these perspectives may seem subtle, but it is monumental in practice. Every successful person has faced failure, rejection, and difficulty, but they did not allow these experiences to dominate their thinking. Instead, they used them as fuel, interpreting every setback as a lesson, every obstacle as a chance to grow. Your thoughts are the lens through which you interpret reality, and the quality of that lens determines the clarity, magnitude, and direction of your life's achievements. Beyond perception, your thoughts influence action. Motivation, discipline, and persistence do not come from external circumstances, they emerge from the mind. When you constantly cultivate thoughts of purpose and vision, you automatically become more focused, driven, and resilient. Your mind begins to anticipate success rather than fear failure, and your actions follow suit. You act decisively, persist through challenges, and maintain consistency even when external conditions are unfavorable. In essence, your mind becomes your internal coach, pushing you toward the habits, decisions, and strategies that lead to success. Without this internal alignment, external efforts often feel chaotic, inconsistent, and ultimately ineffective. The mind, therefore, is both the starting point and the sustaining force of all achievement. Developing mastery over your thoughts requires conscious effort. It begins with awareness, paying attention to the recurring patterns of your mind. Which thoughts dominate your mornings, afternoons, and nights? Are they thoughts of limitation, comparison, and fear? Or are they thoughts of possibility, growth, and empowerment? Awareness alone is not enough, however. It must be paired with deliberate mental discipline. This means interrupting negative thought loops, reframing limiting beliefs, and consistently feeding your mind with ideas that inspire, challenge, and elevate you. The most successful individuals treat this practice as non-negotiable. They do not allow idle thoughts to drift unchecked because they understand that uncontrolled thinking leads to uncontrolled results. Every hour spent intentionally cultivating a positive, focused, and disciplined mind is an hour invested directly into the foundation of your success. Visualization is another critical element in harnessing the power of thought. Your mind cannot differentiate between a vividly imagined experience and one that occurs in reality. When you see yourself achieving your goals, performing at your highest potential, and overcoming obstacles, Your brain begins to program your actions to align with that vision. The more detailed and emotionally charged your mental imagery, the stronger its effect. Athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, and leaders around the world leverage this principle daily. They train their minds to believe in a reality that has not yet manifested, and then they move their bodies and behaviors to make that vision inevitable. By consistently imagining yourself succeeding, you are effectively planting the seeds of your future achievements today. Finally, the power of your thoughts is inseparable from self-belief. You cannot act on possibilities that you do not believe are attainable. Every significant accomplishment begins with the internal conviction that you are capable of achieving it. Doubt is a silent killer, eroding effort, focus, and persistence. Confidence, on the other hand, fuels risk-taking, resilience, and consistent action. This is why successful individuals do not wait for external validation. They cultivate an unshakable belief in their own potential. They understand that the mind is both the battlefield and the prize. To succeed in life, you must first win the war within. Thoughts are the frontline soldiers of that war, and every positive, focused, and determined thought strengthens your position, making victory not just possible, but inevitable. In conclusion, understanding the power of your thoughts is not optional, it is essential. Success does not start in the market, in a classroom, or in the office. It starts in your mind. Your thoughts determine your beliefs shape your actions, and your actions define your reality. By consciously cultivating empowering, focused, and purposeful thoughts, you set in motion a chain reaction that transforms your life. You move from being a passive observer of circumstance to an active architect of your destiny. The mind is your most potent asset, and mastering it is the first and most critical step on the journey to extraordinary success. When you realize that every achievement, every breakthrough, and every victory begins with a single thought, you unlock the ability to create a life that reflects not just your dreams, but the limitless potential of your mind. Breaking mental barriers is one of the most critical steps in the journey to success, because your mind often builds invisible walls long before reality presents any real obstacles. These walls are composed of doubts, fears, insecurities, and beliefs that you have unconsciously accepted as truth over time. They shape your actions, your choices, and ultimately, your outcomes. The tragic truth is that most people are not held back by external circumstances. They are held back by the limitations they place on themselves. A mental barrier is not just a fleeting thought. It is a deeply ingrained conviction that you are somehow less capable, less deserving, or less powerful than you truly are. To achieve greatness, you must first identify these barriers and confront them with unflinching honesty and unwavering determination. Recognizing a mental barrier requires self-awareness, because they are often hidden beneath layers of routine and habit. They might show up as procrastination, fear of failure, fear of judgment, or a persistent feeling that you are not enough. These mental blocks manifest in subtle ways, dictating your decisions and restricting your potential without you even realizing it. You may avoid pursuing an opportunity because you think it is beyond your capabilities, or you may settle for mediocrity because striving for excellence feels uncomfortable. The first step in breaking these barriers is to acknowledge their existence without judgment. Denial only strengthens them, but awareness begins the process of dismantling them. When you shine a light on these limiting beliefs, you give yourself the power to challenge and overcome them. Once you have identified a mental barrier, the next step is to question it rigorously. Ask yourself why you believe this limitation exists. Who or what influenced this belief? Is it based on actual experience, or is it a story you have repeated so often that it feels true? Often, you will discover that the barriers are built not on facts, but on assumptions, fear, and other people's expectations. Breaking free from these chains requires a shift in perspective, a conscious decision to replace old, destructive thought patterns with new, empowering ones. This is not a simple process, nor is it comfortable. It requires courage, patience, and relentless self-discipline. You must be willing to step into the discomfort of questioning everything you have been told about yourself and your capabilities. Breaking mental barriers also involves confronting fear directly. Fear is the silent architect of limitation. It convinces you to play it safe, to avoid risk, and to remain in familiar, comfortable spaces. Yet, growth and success are never found in comfort. They are forged in the crucible of challenge and adversity. Every fear you face is a doorway to expansion, and every action taken despite fear strengthens your mental resilience. The more you confront fear head-on, the more you prove to yourself that your mind's limitations are not reality, they are simply thoughts waiting to be challenged and overcome. In this process, failure is not something to be feared, but a necessary teacher. Each setback contains a lesson, a signal for adjustment, and an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable than before. Another critical aspect of breaking mental barriers is the elimination of self-sabotage. The mind has a way of protecting us from perceived threats, even if those threats are imagined. It convinces us to stop pursuing goals, to procrastinate, to doubt our abilities, and to settle for less than we deserve. This internal resistance is a barrier in itself, and overcoming it requires conscious mental discipline. You must cultivate the ability to recognize when your mind is trying to hold you back and actively redirect your focus toward constructive, growth-oriented actions. Habits of self-sabotage often arise from comfort, fear, or unresolved trauma, and they can only be dismantled through consistent practice, self-reflection, and a commitment to personal growth. Visualization and mental rehearsal are powerful tools for breaking barriers as well. By vividly imagining yourself achieving your goals, overcoming obstacles, and performing at your highest potential, you train your mind to expect success rather than failure. The more detailed and emotionally charged your visualization, the stronger its impact on your subconscious beliefs. Your mind begins to accept success as not only possible, but inevitable. Every time you mentally rehearse victory, you weaken the walls of limitation and strengthen the neural pathways that guide confident action. Over time, these mental exercises create a profound shift in perception. What once seemed impossible now feels attainable, and the barriers that once loomed large begin to crumble. Surrounding yourself with the right influences is equally important in breaking mental barriers. Your environment, both physical and social, has a tremendous impact on your mindset. People who doubt you, environments that are stagnant, and constant exposure to negativity reinforce limitations. Conversely, surrounding yourself with motivated, ambitious, and positive influences accelerates your mental evolution. Mentors, peers, and thought leaders who challenge you to think bigger, act bolder, and envision possibilities you had never imagined can provide both inspiration and accountability. The right environment acts as a catalyst, dissolving barriers more quickly than effort alone could achieve. It pushes your mind to expand, adapt, and grow in ways that solitary effort might struggle to accomplish. Breaking mental barriers also demands relentless persistence. The mind is stubborn and often fights the very growth you are striving to achieve. Old habits, ingrained beliefs, and conditioned responses will resist change, but persistence is the bridge between awareness and transformation. Every time you push through discomfort, confront fear, and challenge a limiting belief, you are literally reshaping the architecture of your mind. The process may be slow, but each step forward builds momentum, and momentum compounds into transformation. The key is to refuse to quit, to refuse to accept old limitations, and to refuse to let mental barriers dictate your life. Persistence transforms temporary effort into lasting change. Ultimately, breaking mental barriers is about claiming ownership of your mind. It is about refusing to be a passive observer in your own life and choosing to become the deliberate architect of your thoughts, beliefs, and actions. The barriers are not external, they are internal constructs, and internal constructs can be dismantled. The power to overcome them lies within you, and the process begins with awareness, questioning, courage, and consistent action. Every barrier you break opens the door to new possibilities, greater confidence, and higher achievement. The journey is not comfortable, but nothing worthwhile ever is. By confronting and dismantling the mental barriers that have held you back, you do more than change your thoughts. you change your reality. In conclusion, mental barriers are the silent enemies of success. They are not invincible. They exist only as long as you allow them to dominate your thinking. By becoming aware of these limitations, challenging them relentlessly, facing fear head-on, eliminating self-sabotage, harnessing visualization, surrounding yourself with empowering influences, and persisting despite resistance, you create the conditions for breakthrough. Your mind is not a prison. It is a battlefield and a forge, and breaking its barriers transforms it into a tool of limitless power. When you master this, you no longer wait for success. You command it. Every action, every decision, and every outcome begins to align with the vision you hold for yourself. Mental barriers are nothing more than illusions, and the moment you refuse to accept them, you take the first giant step toward extraordinary achievement. Building the habit of success is not about occasional bursts of effort or fleeting motivation. It is about the consistent actions and rituals you embed into your daily life that compound over time to create extraordinary results. Success is not an event, it is a process, and that process is governed almost entirely by your habits. Every decision you make, every routine you follow, and every action you repeat either brings you closer to your goals or moves you further away. The mind, once trained, naturally leans toward what is familiar, which is why the habits you cultivate are far more powerful than willpower alone. Willpower can ignite temporary action, but habits sustain progress even when motivation fades or circumstances become difficult. Understanding this distinction is crucial because it separates those who dream from those who achieve. Habits are the building blocks of character and capability. They determine how you spend your time, how you react to challenges, and how you pursue opportunities. Successful people understand this, and they deliver. They engineer their habits to support their vision of success. They do not leave their progress to chance, nor do they rely on fleeting inspiration. Instead, they create daily routines that align their actions with their goals, ensuring that success is not dependent on mood, luck, or external circumstances. Habits act as a bridge between intention and outcome, translating ambition into tangible results. By committing to deliberate, purposeful routines, you allow your mind and body to work in harmony toward achieving your vision. Creating the habit of success begins with clarity of purpose. You cannot build effective habits without first knowing what you are striving for. Every habit should serve your larger goals and reinforce the identity of the person you want to become. This requires self-reflection and honesty. What skills do you need to develop? What behaviors must you adopt or eliminate? How should your daily actions align with your ultimate vision? Once you identify these areas, you can design habits that target them precisely. The key is alignment. Every habit should be a small, deliberate step toward the larger picture. When your actions are aligned with your purpose, the energy you expend is amplified, and every day becomes a meaningful contribution to your success. Consistency is the secret weapon of habit formation. The human mind and body thrive on repetition. When you perform an action consistently, it moves from conscious effort to automatic behavior. This transition is powerful because it reduces reliance on willpower, allowing you to perform at a high level even under stress or fatigue. The challenge is that most people underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. They wait for monumental effort or grand gestures, ignoring the compounding effect of daily discipline. True success, however, is rarely the result of dramatic actions. It is the result of disciplined routines repeated day in and day out. The power of consistency cannot be overstated. Small habits, maintained over time, create results that appear almost magical when viewed in retrospect. Another critical element of building successful habits is discipline over motivation. Motivation is unpredictable. It comes and goes like waves in the ocean. Discipline, on the other hand, is reliable. When you commit to habits rooted in discipline, you continue to act even when motivation wanes. You push forward even when circumstances are unfavorable, tired, or uninspired. This is what separates those who achieve their dreams from those who only dream. Discipline allows you to maintain forward momentum regardless of external conditions, transforming action into a consistent, unstoppable force. It is the silent engine behind every successful person, ensuring that progress never depends on fleeting emotions or temporary enthusiasm. Environment plays a pivotal role in shaping habits as well. Your surroundings influence your behavior more than you might realize. If you are constantly exposed to distractions, negative influences, or environments that do not support your growth, your ability to maintain productive habits is weakened. Conversely, when you surround yourself with conditions that reinforce your desired behavior, organized spaces, supportive people, and cues that trigger focus, you make success almost inevitable. Environment acts as a silent partner in habit formation, either supporting or sabotaging your efforts. By designing your environment deliberately, you reduce resistance, increase efficiency, and create a setting in which success becomes the natural outcome of daily action. Accountability and reflection are also essential components of habit mastery. Habits are not self-sustaining without regular evaluation. You must continually assess whether your routines are effective and whether they are moving you closer to your goals. Tracking progress, setting benchmarks, and reflecting on outcomes allow you to adjust and refine your habits over time. Accountability can come from mentors, peers, or even self-monitoring, but the principle remains the same. Without measurement and reflection, habits lose their power and can drift into ineffective routines. Successful people treat their habits as living systems that require attention, adjustment, and optimization, knowing that even the best-intentioned routines can fail if left unchecked. The psychology behind habit formation emphasizes gradual, incremental improvement. Small wins matter because they reinforce positive behavior and create momentum. Every time you complete a productive action, you reward your brain, strengthening the neural pathways that support that behavior. Over time, these small victories accumulate into significant transformation. The focus should be on steady, sustainable progress rather than immediate perfection. Success is rarely a sudden breakthrough. It is a culmination of repeated intentional actions compounded over time. Understanding this allows you to approach habit building with patience and persistence, knowing that each deliberate step brings you closer to the life you desire. Moreover, habits shape identity. What you do repeatedly defines who you are, and who you are determines what you are capable of achieving. Successful habits reinforce the identity of a person who acts, perseveres, and achieves, while destructive habits reinforce a sense of stagnation and limitation. By consciously choosing habits that reflect the qualities of the person you aspire to become, discipline, focus, resilience, creativity, you are effectively training your mind and body to embody that identity. Over time, habits cease to be a series of actions, they become an extension of your character, and your identity aligns with your aspirations, making success not just possible, but inevitable. Breaking negative habits is equally important in the pursuit of success. Just as positive habits propel you forward, destructive routines, procrastination, and self-limiting behaviors hold you back. Awareness is the first step in eliminating these patterns. You must identify behaviors that drain your energy, distract your focus, or undermine your progress. Once recognized, these habits must be replaced with constructive alternatives. Transformation is not about mere elimination. It is about substitution. Replace what holds you back with actions that build strength, focus, and momentum. This process requires vigilance, commitment, and honesty, but it is essential for creating a mental and behavioral ecosystem that supports success. Finally, building the habit of success requires resilience in the face of setbacks. No routine is flawless, and no individual is immune to failure. There will be days when you falter, when motivation disappears, and when circumstances test your discipline. The measure of a successful person is not perfection, but the ability to recover, recommit, and continue the daily practice regardless of temporary failures. Habits gain power not through occasional excellence, but through consistent resilience. Each time you get back on track, you strengthen the underlying neural pathways, solidify your identity, and reinforce the mindset of success. Over time, this resilience transforms obstacles into opportunities, challenges into lessons, and effort into results. In conclusion, the habit of success is the lifeblood of achievement. It is the repeated, deliberate, and disciplined actions that compound over time to create extraordinary outcomes. By aligning your daily routines with your goals, practicing consistency, prioritizing discipline over fleeting motivation, designing your environment, embracing accountability, focusing on incremental improvement, shaping your identity, eliminating destructive patterns, and demonstrating resilience in the face of setbacks, you lay an unshakable foundation for success. Habits are not mere actions. They are the architecture of your life, the bridge between dreams and reality, and the vehicle through which potential is transformed into achievement. By mastering your habits, you are not just taking steps towards success, you are becoming the person who embodies it, and in doing so, you ensure that every day brings you closer to the extraordinary life you are capable of creating. Visualization and mental rehearsal are among the most powerful tools for turning thoughts into reality, yet they are often overlooked by those who chase success without understanding the mechanics of the mind. Success is not solely built through external effort, it is first constructed in the theater of your imagination. The mind cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one, and this is precisely why visualization works. When you consistently picture yourself achieving your goals, overcoming obstacles, and performing at your highest potential, your brain begins to accept these scenarios as possible, even inevitable. This mental practice primes your mind for action, aligns your subconscious with your conscious goals, and sets in motion a chain reaction that moves you closer to the reality you envision. The process of visualization requires clarity and specificity. A vague desire to be successful or achieve more is insufficient. The mind responds to concrete images, detailed scenarios, and emotionally charged intentions. When you imagine success in precise detail, the sounds, the feelings, the environment, and even the challenges along the way, your brain starts creating neural pathways as if the experience were real. These pathways strengthen the mental and emotional capacity needed to perform effectively in real life. Every time you mentally rehearse a victory, your confidence increases, your anxiety decreases, and your readiness for action grows. Visualization transforms abstract goals into tangible mental blueprints, allowing your subconscious to guide your behavior toward achieving them. Mental rehearsal extends beyond mere imagery. It is about engaging the senses, emotions, and cognition to prepare for high-level performance. Athletes, performers, and leaders have long used this method to achieve peak results. They mentally walk through each step of their performance, anticipating challenges, rehearsing responses, and embedding the feeling of success into their psyche. The reason this works is that the mind-body connection is profound. Your brain cannot easily separate imagined experience from physical reality. By repeatedly simulating success, you train not only your mind, but also your nervous system, creating patterns of readiness and resilience that manifest when you face real-world challenges. This preparation builds an invisible advantage, giving you the confidence and clarity to execute under pressure. Visualization is most effective when paired with belief. Imagining success without genuinely believing it is possible weakens the impact. The mind must accept that the vision is attainable. This is why mental rehearsal is not just about seeing success, it is about feeling it. You must immerse yourself in the emotional experience of achievement. Feel the pride, the relief, the joy, and the excitement as if you have already arrived. When emotions are engaged, neural pathways are strengthened more profoundly, and the mind internalizes the belief that success is inevitable. This emotional connection bridges the gap between imagination and reality, transforming mental practice into actionable confidence. Overcoming obstacles through visualization is another critical aspect. Life will always present challenges, but a mind trained through mental rehearsal is prepared to respond, adapt, and persevere. When you mentally simulate potential problems and rehearse solutions, you reduce fear, hesitation, and indecision. Your brain becomes equipped with strategies and responses, so when difficulties arise in reality, you react with composure and creativity rather than panic. Mental rehearsal transforms uncertainty into preparation, fear into strategy, and hesitation into decisive action. The challenges you imagine and work through in your mind become less intimidating when encountered in reality because you have already trained your mind to handle them. Visualization also strengthens focus. In a world filled with distractions and competing priorities, the ability to concentrate on what truly matters is a differentiator between those who achieve and those who drift. When you regularly visualize your goals, you reinforce their importance in your subconscious, making it easier to prioritize tasks that align with your vision. Your decisions begin to reflect your mental rehearsal, naturally gravitating toward actions that advance your objectives and away from distractions that impede progress. By training your mind to stay fixated on your desired outcomes, you create a magnetic pull toward success, and your daily actions begin to mirror the clarity of your vision. Mental rehearsal is not limited to grand achievements. It applies equally to everyday performance. Whether preparing for a presentation, a negotiation, a competition, or a challenging conversation, visualizing success equips you with confidence, clarity, and composure. By mentally walking through the sequence of events, you reduce anxiety and increase your ability to respond effectively. Visualization primes your mind for excellence, ensuring that when the moment arrives, your behavior is guided by practice, foresight, and readiness. The small, repeated rehearsals compound over time, producing a level of preparedness that gives you an undeniable advantage over those who rely solely on reaction. Another powerful component of visualization is mental conditioning for resilience. By imagining not only success, but also the obstacles, failures, and setbacks you might face, you prepare yourself emotionally for adversity. The mind becomes accustomed to challenge and learns to view difficulty as a temporary condition rather than a permanent defeat. This mental resilience translates into real-world perseverance, allowing you to stay committed when external circumstances are unfavorable. Every imagined challenge becomes a rehearsal in grit, turning potential obstacles into opportunities for growth and adaptation. Your mind learns to embrace difficulty rather than avoid it, cultivating a form of courage that cannot be taught through textbooks or lectures. The synergy between visualization and action is crucial. Visualization alone is insufficient if not coupled with deliberate effort. Mental rehearsal works best when it guides behavior rather than replacing it. Every day, you must translate the clarity, confidence, and readiness developed in your mind into tangible action. Think of visualization as a rehearsal stage, preparing you for the main performance of real life. When you combine the mental blueprint with deliberate, persistent action, your results accelerate and your progress becomes exponential. This integration of thought and action transforms potential into performance and intention into reality. Visualization also cultivates a mindset of possibility. When you regularly see yourself succeeding, your beliefs expand, your fear diminishes, and your imagination grows bolder. The mind naturally resists what it perceives as impossible, but repeated mental rehearsal rewires perception, allowing you to entertain higher levels of achievement. You begin to anticipate success rather than doubt it, to see opportunities rather than obstacles, and to trust in your capacity to achieve more than you previously imagined. This shift in mindset is transformative because it changes how you approach challenges, decisions, and goals. Your mental rehearsal creates an internal narrative of empowerment that drives external success. Finally, visualization builds identity. Who you see yourself being in your mind becomes who you are capable of becoming in reality. Your thoughts shape your identity, and repeated mental rehearsal cements that identity as an integral part of your being. When you consistently imagine yourself as a confident, capable, disciplined, and successful individual, your behaviors, decisions, and habits begin to align with that identity. Visualization is not merely about seeing the end goal, it is about becoming the person who naturally achieves that goal. By practicing mental rehearsal with intention, emotion, and focus, you reshape your inner world, which inevitably reshapes your outer world. In conclusion, visualization and mental rehearsal are more than motivational techniques. They are foundational practices for mastering the mind and achieving extraordinary results. By vividly imagining success, engaging your emotions, mentally rehearsing responses to challenges, strengthening focus, cultivating resilience, and integrating visualization with deliberate action, you create a powerful mental ecosystem that accelerates your journey toward achievement. Every image, every rehearsal, and every emotional engagement rewires your brain, strengthens your confidence, and aligns your behavior with your goals. When practiced consistently, mental rehearsal transforms thought into action, imagination into reality, and potential into undeniable success. The mind becomes not just a witness to your journey, but the architect, the strategist, and the driving force behind every achievement you attain. Embracing failure as fuel is one of the most transformative mindsets you can develop on the path to success, because failure is not the enemy, it is the raw material from which greatness is forged. Society teaches us to fear failure, to avoid mistakes at all costs, and to judge ourselves harshly when we fall short. Yet every successful person in history has faced failure repeatedly, often in ways that would have crushed the average individual. The difference lies not in the fact that they failed, but in how they responded to it. Failure becomes fuel when it is reframed as a teacher, a motivator, and a signal to adjust strategy and intensify effort. To harness failure in this way requires a mental shift, one that transforms setbacks from sources of despair into catalysts for growth, learning, and relentless determination. Failure is unavoidable on the path to success because growth requires stretching beyond your current capabilities. Every new skill, achievement, or milestone demands that you venture into the unknown, take risks, and test your limits. By nature, this process involves trial and error. The fear of failure is rooted in attachment to comfort, to ego, to perceived competence, but clinging to these attachments keeps you stagnant. When you embrace failure as a necessary part of growth, it becomes a source of strength rather than weakness. Each setback is an opportunity to refine your strategy, to identify what does not work, and to uncover insights that accelerate future progress. In essence, failure becomes the fuel that propels you forward, rather than the chains that hold you back. The first step in transforming failure into fuel is to adopt a mindset of curiosity, rather than judgment. When you fail, do not react with shame, anger, or self-loathing. Instead, ask questions: what went wrong? What can I learn? How can I adjust my approach? This shift in perspective transforms failure into a data point, a source of feedback rather than a verdict on your worth or potential. Every mistake contains information that is invaluable if you're willing to extract it. By cultivating curiosity in the face of failure, you train your mind to view setbacks as essential components of the learning process, allowing you to grow faster, wiser, and more resilient than those who avoid failure at all costs. Another crucial aspect of embracing failure as fuel is detaching your self-worth from outcomes. Far too many people measure themselves by their successes and judge themselves harshly for their failures. This mindset is toxic because it creates fear, hesitation, and paralysis. Your value is not defined by what you achieve or fail to achieve. It is defined by your commitment to growth, your effort, and your willingness to persist in the face of adversity. When you separate your identity from outcomes, failure loses its power to intimidate, and you gain the freedom to experiment, take risks, and pursue bold goals without fear of judgment or ridicule. Resilience is born in the crucible of failure. Every time you face a setback and choose to keep moving, you strengthen your mental and emotional fortitude. The process of recovering from failure teaches patience, perseverance, and adaptability, qualities that are far more valuable than immediate success. Those who fear failure avoid risks and remain within safe, familiar boundaries, but they also limit their potential. By contrast, those who embrace failure gain experience, insight, and confidence that compound over time. Each setback becomes a stepping stone, and each recovery builds momentum. The more you expose yourself to challenge and learn to thrive despite it, the more powerful your mind becomes, and the more unstoppable your pursuit of success grows. Failure also serves as a clarifying force. It exposes weaknesses in your strategy, gaps in your skills, and flaws in your planning. When approached with honesty and courage, failure reveals precisely what needs to change, providing guidance that success alone cannot offer. Many people achieve moderate success without learning these critical lessons because they never experience the humbling force of failure. True mastery, however, is cultivated through struggle and repeated effort. By analyzing your failures carefully and systematically, you extract wisdom that accelerates your growth and equips you to perform at levels far beyond what would have been possible without the challenge. The emotional impact of failure can be intense, but it is also where transformation occurs. Fear, disappointment, and frustration are natural reactions, yet they can be harnessed as fuel for action rather than as deterrents. Every moment of discomfort contains energy that can be converted into focus, drive, and determination. The choice is yours. You can succumb to the pain and let it paralyze you, or you can channel it into relentless effort, using it to sharpen your skills, clarify your vision, and push harder than ever before. By internalizing the lessons of emotional resilience, you transform the very experience of failure into a power source, a catalyst that fuels your next move with greater intensity and precision. Failure also teaches humility, which is essential for long-term growth. When success comes easily or without challenge, it often fosters arrogance, complacency, or overconfidence. Failure strips away illusions, forcing you to confront reality and reevaluate your approach. This humbling process is critical because it prevents stagnation and keeps you aligned with continuous improvement. Those who embrace failure remain teachable, adaptable, and open to new strategies, while those who fear it become rigid, defensive, and limited by ego. The ability to learn from failure without being defeated by it is what separates ordinary individuals from extraordinary achievers. Embracing failure as fuel requires a commitment to action despite setbacks. Failure should not be an excuse to stop. It should be a signal to double down. Every setback provides insight into what does not work, creating the opportunity to refine your methods and approach with greater precision. Persistence is the multiplier of effort. Each time you rise after falling, your chances of success increase exponentially. Action, in the face of failure, demonstrates courage, conviction, and an unwavering commitment to your goals, reinforcing the mindset that you will not be defeated by circumstance, mistake, or obstacle. The act of continuing despite failure signals to your mind and body that you are prepared, resilient, and unstoppable. One of the most powerful ways to use failure as fuel is to reframe it as a narrative of progress rather than defeat. Instead of saying, "I failed," say, "I learned something essential, and I am closer to my goal." Language shapes perception, and the words you use to describe failure influence your emotional and mental response. By reframing failure as feedback and fuel, you condition your mind to respond with curiosity, determination, and growth-oriented energy rather than fear, shame, or self-doubt. This mental reframing transforms the emotional impact of failure from something that stops you into something that propels you forward. Finally, embracing failure as fuel requires a long-term perspective. Immediate success is rare, and setbacks are inevitable on any journey worth pursuing. The ability to see failure as part of a larger trajectory, as one step among many in the path to mastery, allows you to maintain confidence, focus, and momentum. Each failure, when used as fuel, contributes to cumulative growth, building skills, resilience, and insight that compound over time. Those who achieve lasting success are not those who never fail. They are those who use failure strategically, consistently, and intentionally to propel themselves toward higher levels of performance and achievement. In conclusion, failure is not the enemy of success. It is the indispensable fuel that drives it. By reframing setbacks as teachers, detaching self-worth from outcomes, cultivating resilience, extracting lessons, harnessing emotional energy, embracing humility, persisting despite obstacles, and maintaining a long-term perspective, you transform failure from a source of fear into a source of unstoppable power. Every obstacle, mistake, and defeat becomes a catalyst that sharpens your skills, strengthens your mind, and propels you closer to the extraordinary life you are capable of achieving. Success is not defined by the absence of failure, but by the ability to harness it, learn from it, and convert it into relentless forward motion. Those who embrace failure as fuel do not merely survive setback, they thrive on them, turning each challenge into an opportunity to rise stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever before. The influence of environment and people on your journey to success cannot be overstated, because your surroundings shape your mindset, habits, and ultimately the trajectory of your life. Success is rarely achieved in isolation. It is cultivated within a context that either supports growth or perpetuates limitation. Your environment includes not only the physical spaces you inhabit, but also the mental, emotional, and social climates in which you operate. The people you spend time with, the conversations you engage in, the media you consume, and the conditions you immerse yourself in all contribute to shaping your beliefs, behaviors, and energy levels. Understanding this principle is essential because even the most disciplined mind can struggle to thrive in a negative, chaotic, or unsupportive environment. Your immediate environment acts as a mirror for your habits, reinforcing patterns of thought and behavior. When you are surrounded by individuals who are motivated, disciplined, and ambitious, their energy and mindset rub off on you, consciously and subconsciously. Their language, focus, and approach to challenges create subtle cues that influence how you think and act. Conversely, a toxic or complacent environment can drain your energy, reinforce limiting beliefs, and normalize mediocrity. People absorb attitudes, behaviors, and standards from those around them, often without realizing it. This is why choosing your environment deliberately is not optional. It is a critical strategy for aligning your mind with the level of success you desire. The physical environment itself also plays a powerful role in shaping productivity and focus. Cluttered, disorganized, or chaotic spaces create mental noise, distraction, and stress, which undermine performance and decision-making. A well-structured, clean, and intentional environment signals to your mind that you are organized, disciplined, and ready to act. Small details matter. The arrangement of your workspace, the quality of lighting, the accessibility of tools, and the presence of visual cues aligned with your goals all influence your capacity to focus, act decisively, and maintain momentum. By shaping your environment intentionally, you remove friction and create conditions in which success flows naturally, reducing the reliance on sheer willpower to achieve your objectives. The social aspect of your environment is perhaps even more impactful. The people you associate with determine your standards, expectations, and beliefs about what is possible. If you consistently surround yourself with individuals who complain, doubt themselves, or dismiss ambition, you are likely to absorb their mindset, often unconsciously. These interactions reinforce fear, hesitation, and limitation. In contrast, when you seek out mentors, peers, and collaborators who embody the qualities you aspire to, you accelerate your growth. These individuals provide guidance, inspiration, accountability, and feedback that propel you forward. They challenge your thinking, expand your vision, and expose you to new opportunities and strategies that you may never have encountered alone. Your social environment is a multiplier of potential, either amplifying success or reinforcing stagnation. Media and information consumption are extensions of your environment that shape your worldview and mental state. The books you read, the videos you watch, the podcasts you listen to, and the social media you engage with all feed your mind continuously. Exposure to negativity, sensationalism, or limiting narratives conditions your thought patterns toward fear, doubt, or complacency. Conversely, Deliberate engagement with empowering, educational, and motivational content reinforces positive thinking, creativity, and problem-solving. Success is influenced as much by what you allow into your mind as by the actions you take externally. Guarding your informational environment is as critical as curating your physical and social surroundings, because your mind absorbs patterns of thought, language, and belief from every input. Your environment also influences your emotional state, which directly impacts performance. Stress, conflict, and negativity in your surroundings create tension, distraction, and mental fatigue, limiting your ability to focus, make decisions, and take consistent action. Positive, supportive environments generate calm, clarity, and energy, enabling you to operate at your highest potential. Emotional energy is contagious. The mood and attitude of those around you affect your own state, often more powerfully than you realize. By intentionally designing your environment to support emotional stability, positivity, and resilience, you create conditions in which your mind can remain sharp, your motivation sustained, and your actions effective. Opportunities often emerge through the network of people and environments you inhabit. Access to knowledge, mentorship, collaboration, and resources is rarely random. It is cultivated through intentional association with the right circles. Being in environments where growth, innovation, and achievement are normalized exposes you to ideas, strategies, and partnerships that accelerate progress. On the other hand, remaining in stagnant, unambitious, or negative spaces limits exposure to opportunity, making achievement more difficult, slower, and less consistent. Your surroundings can either act as a launchpad for success or an anchor that holds you back. Deliberate selection of both physical spaces and social networks is therefore not a luxury. It is essential for accelerated growth. Adapting your environment does not always require immediate drastic change. Small, incremental adjustments can produce profound effects over time. This may include setting boundaries with toxic individuals, reducing time spent in negative or unproductive spaces, and consciously seeking exposure to high-quality, empowering interactions. Simple habits like scheduling time with mentors, joining professional communities, attending seminars, or curating the content you consume create a ripple effect that transforms your mindset and behaviors. Every intentional step toward optimizing your environment strengthens your mental capacity, focus, and drive, creating a fertile ground for the habits, decisions, and strategies that lead to success. The influence of environment and people is also intertwined with accountability. Being around individuals who hold you to high standards, challenge your thinking, and expect consistent effort ensures that your potential is not left untapped. These relationships and settings serve as a mirror, reflecting both your progress and areas for improvement. Accountability creates momentum because it establishes consequences, feedback, and reinforcement for effort and achievement. Without it, even the most disciplined individual can drift or lose direction. By consciously embedding yourself in environments that encourage growth and hold you accountable, you amplify your likelihood of success and reduce the probability of stagnation or complacency. Your environment also shapes identity. Who you spend time with, the values and norms of your surroundings, and the mental and emotional climates you engage with collectively influence how you perceive yourself and what you believe is possible. If you consistently operate in spaces that reward mediocrity or discourage ambition, your identity adjusts to fit that context. Conversely, surrounding yourself with excellence, vision, and achievement reinforces a self-concept aligned with high-performance, resilience, and growth. The people and spaces you inhabit act as both a mirror and a mold, shaping your self-perception, expectations, and behavior in profound ways. Finally, the ability to consciously curate your environment is a skill that distinguishes high achievers from average performers. High performers understand that success is rarely about luck or innate talent alone. It is about creating conditions in which talent, effort, and mindset can flourish. They meticulously design their physical spaces, social interactions, and informational inputs to reinforce positive habits, beliefs, and behaviors. They seek out challenges, mentorship, and inspiration while minimizing exposure to toxicity, distraction, and negativity. This deliberate approach ensures that their energy is focused on what matters most, that their mindset is consistently aligned with growth, and that their actions are amplified by the power of a supportive, purpose-driven environment. In conclusion, the influence of environment and people is a foundational determinant of success. Physical spaces, social networks, informational inputs, emotional climates, and accountability structures collectively shape your mindset, habits, and actions. By consciously curating these elements, you remove friction, amplify focus, and create a context in which growth and achievement become inevitable. Surround yourself with those who inspire, challenge, and elevate you. Choose spaces and inputs that reinforce clarity, discipline, and positivity. Design conditions that empower your mind, sharpen your focus, and sustain your drive. Success is not achieved in isolation, it is nurtured in the right environment. By taking ownership of the environments you inhabit and the people you engage with, you lay the groundwork for extraordinary achievement, ensuring that every decision, action, and effort is amplified by the power of surroundings aligned with your highest potential. Mastering the art of focus and mental clarity is the ultimate differentiator between those who achieve greatness and those who drift through life aimlessly. The mind is constantly bombarded with distractions, information overload, and competing priorities, and without deliberate cultivation of focus, even the most capable individual will struggle to reach their potential. Success starts in the mind, not only with ambition or vision, but with the ability to channel attention with precision, to think clearly, and to act decisively. Mental clarity allows you to distinguish between what is important and what is noise, to eliminate indecision, and to make choices that align with your highest goals. The journey toward mastery of focus requires discipline, strategy, and relentless practice. Distractions are the enemies of progress. In modern life, they are everywhere: notifications, social media, emails, competing obligations, and the endless influx of information seeking your attention. Every distraction, no matter how small, fragments the mind and diminishes the power of your focus. The first step in mastering mental clarity is recognizing the cost of distraction. Each moment spent diverted from meaningful action is lost energy, lost opportunity, and lost momentum. Those who achieve extraordinary results treat focus as sacred, guarding their attention like a precious resource. They understand that the ability to concentrate deeply on the task that matters most, consistently, is more valuable than raw intelligence, talent, or luck. Focus is not merely about paying attention, it is about selective attention. It requires choosing what to engage with, and more importantly, what to ignore. The mind has limited capacity, and attempting to pursue multiple priorities simultaneously dilutes effectiveness. Mastery of focus involves the discipline to eliminate the non-essential, to say no to distractions, and to channel energy toward high-leverage actions. This selectivity is not about avoidance alone. It is about intentionality. Every decision you make about where to place your mental energy either propels you toward your goals or diffuses your power. Clarity emerges when you commit to a narrow, well-defined path, understanding that true progress comes from depth, not breadth. Mental clarity also requires the cultivation of internal discipline. Thoughts are powerful, but they are not always constructive. The mind naturally wanders, entertains doubt, and magnifies fear. Developing focus involves training your mind to recognize unproductive thought patterns and redirect them toward purpose-driven thinking. This requires awareness, meditation, and deliberate practice. Every time you notice distraction or indecision and bring your attention back to the task at hand, you strengthen your mental muscles, enhancing your capacity for sustained concentration. Discipline over the mind translates into clarity in action, and clarity in action produces measurable results. A key aspect of mental clarity is understanding your priorities and values. When your goals and purpose are clearly defined, the mind automatically aligns itself with them. filtering out irrelevant stimuli and reducing internal conflict. Lack of clarity about what truly matters generates indecision, wasted effort, and frustration. To sharpen focus, you must define your vision, your mission, and your highest objectives. This clarity acts as a compass, guiding your decisions and actions and ensuring that your energy is invested where it will produce the greatest return. A mind anchored in purpose is less susceptible to distraction, more resilient in adversity, and more capable of sustained effort. Routine and structure are essential for maintaining focus and clarity. The human mind thrives on patterns and predictability, and structured routines reduce decision fatigue, conserve mental energy, and allow you to allocate focus where it matters most. By designing daily rituals that support your goals, you automate productive behavior and minimize wasted mental effort. This includes creating blocks of uninterrupted time for deep work, establishing rituals to begin and end the day with intention, and eliminating unnecessary choices that fragment attention. Structure does not restrict freedom. It liberates the mind, providing the space and energy necessary for creative problem-solving, strategic thinking, and high-level performance. The environment, both physical and social, significantly affects focus and mental clarity. Chaotic, cluttered spaces, negative influences, or constant interruptions degrade cognitive function and scatter attention. By contrast, environments that are organized, intentional, and supportive of concentration amplify your mental capacity. Surrounding yourself with people who respect your focus, providing clear boundaries, and curating inputs that inspire rather than drain are all strategies for maintaining mental clarity. Mastery of focus requires controlling external variables to the greatest extent possible, recognizing that environment acts as both amplifier and limiter of mental power. Mindfulness and present moment awareness are also essential for clarity. Much of distraction arises from dwelling on the past, worrying about the future, or entertaining irrelevant thoughts. The ability to anchor attention in the present moment allows for sharper decision-making, greater productivity, and enhanced creativity. Mindfulness practices, whether meditation, conscious breathing, or reflective pauses, train the mind to observe thoughts without becoming enslaved by them. This creates a mental space in which focus can flourish, free from the clutter of unnecessary worry, doubt, or mental noise. The clearer your mind, the more effectively you can respond to challenges, identify opportunities, and execute plans with precision. Focus and clarity are strengthened through incremental mastery and deliberate challenge. Like muscles, the mind grows stronger with sustained effort under resistance. Limiting multitasking, engaging in deep work sessions, and intentionally pushing through discomfort are all methods of strengthening cognitive endurance. Each time you resist distraction, clarify your thinking, and act with intention, you reinforce the neural pathways that support sustained focus. Over time, this builds not only the capacity for concentrated work, but also the resilience to maintain composure and clarity under stress. The practice of focus is ongoing. It is not a state achieved once, but a skill cultivated continuously through disciplined action. Mental clarity also facilitates better decision-making. A cluttered mind produces impulsive, reactive, or short-sighted choices, whereas a focused mind can evaluate options, anticipate consequences, and act strategically. Clarity allows you to see patterns, recognize opportunities, and anticipate obstacles before they arise. It transforms the overwhelming complexity of life into a manageable framework of priorities, enabling confident, decisive action. Success is rarely about avoiding challenges. It is about navigating them with precision, insight, and purpose, and this is only possible when the mind is clear, focused, and free from unnecessary noise. Focus is ultimately a form of empowerment. The ability to direct attention deliberately allows you to take control of your life rather than being controlled by circumstance, distraction, or reactive emotion. Each moment you invest in cultivating clarity strengthens your capacity to act with intention, align behavior with goals, and sustain momentum over the long term. It transforms the mind from a passive observer into an active creator, capable of shaping reality in accordance with vision and effort. Focus is not merely a skill, it is the foundation upon which every achievement is built. In conclusion, mastering focus and mental clarity is the culmination of all the principles of success starting in the mind. It requires the disciplined elimination of distractions, selective attention, awareness of thought, patterns, clarity of purpose, structured routines, mindful presence, environmental optimization, and incremental practice. Mental clarity allows you to prioritize effectively, act decisively, and maintain resilience under pressure. It transforms the mind into a tool of power, precision, and purpose, enabling you to execute your vision with consistency and excellence. Those who master focus do not merely react to life, they shape it deliberately, achieving extraordinary results through the power of a concentrated, disciplined, and clear mind. When your mind is sharp, your intentions are aligned, and your energy is directed toward what truly matters, success is no longer a possibility. It becomes an inevitable outcome of the actions you take, the decisions you make, and the clarity with which you pursue your highest potential. Every journey toward success begins in the mind, and this book has shown that the foundation of achievement is not external circumstances, luck, or talent, but the way you think, perceive, and act. Your mind is the battlefield where victory is won or lost, and the thoughts you cultivate today determine the results you experience tomorrow. Every habit you form, every belief you embrace, every visualization you practice, every failure you encounter, every environment you inhabit, and every moment of focus you master contributes to the architecture of your life. Success is not a distant dream. It is the natural outcome of consistent mental discipline, clarity, and intentional action. You now understand that the mind is not passive. It is an active, creative force capable of shaping reality. Habits are the engine of progress, translating intention into consistent action. Visualization is the rehearsal stage where potential is brought to life before it manifests in reality. Failure, when approached strategically, is not a setback but a catalyst, sharpening resilience and guiding your growth. Your environment and the people around you act as silent partners, either amplifying your energy and focus or draining it, and mental clarity and focus are the instruments that allow you to navigate complexity, maintain momentum, and act decisively. Each chapter has built upon the last to create a cohesive blueprint for transforming thought into reality, desire into action, and vision into achievement. The power you seek has always been within you. It is the capacity of your mind to envision possibilities, embrace discomfort, and persist relentlessly. Nothing external can give you the level of success that comes from mastering your internal world. The strategies, principles, and insights shared here are tools for harnessing that power, but they only work when applied with intention, discipline, and persistence. You must take ownership of your thoughts, choose your habits wisely, engage in mental rehearsal, embrace failure as fuel, surround yourself with environments that elevate you, and cultivate focus with unwavering commitment. Success is not something you stumble upon. It is something you construct every single day, beginning in your mind. Remember that transformation is not immediate. It is the product of sustained effort, reflection, and deliberate action. Every small step you take compounds over time. Every mental shift strengthens your resilience, and every action aligned with your purpose propels you forward. Even in moments of doubt, distraction, or setback, the mind that has been trained to focus, adapt, and persevere will find a way to overcome. Your greatest asset is not your resources, opportunities, or circumstances. It is the power of your mind to shape reality according to your vision. As you move forward, carry this truth: success is a byproduct of mental mastery. Treat your mind with discipline, feed it with empowering thoughts, challenge it with difficult situations, and direct it toward meaningful goals. Every habit, every thought, every visualization, every lesson from failure, every influence from your environment, and every focused action is a building block of your extraordinary life. By committing to these principles, you are not only shaping what you do, but who you become. The path of achievement begins in your mind, and when your mind is disciplined, clear, and focused, there is no limit to what you can accomplish. Your future is not waiting for you. It is being created by the way you think, the way you act, and the choices you make today.